זכות שנים רבות,
Amen.
נעימות וטובות. The question that's asked is regarding the Jewish calendar. Of course, we're accustomed to celebrating Rosh Hashana before Yom Kippurim. Seemingly it's out of order, because we really should have Yom Kippur first, where we clean ourselves from the sins, and then we can come into Rosh Hashanah clean. Why do we come into Rosh Hashanah with all our averot, and we ask God for a good year, and then 10 days later we get rid of the averot? Why go in dirty? Better to come in clean, and we probably have a better chance to get a good year, especially that we know on Rosh Hashanah there is no mention of vidui. There's no mention of chet, there's no mention of avod, there's no mention of pesha. The Ashkenazim, they don't eat eguzim because gematria chet. So why then did the Torah put Rosh Hashanah before Kippur? Where you say, wait a minute, Rosh Hashanah has to be on the first day of Tishri. No problem. So we should do on the 20th day of Elul, 10 days before Rosh Hashanah, but Yom Kippur. Unless we're making a mistake on what the judgment of Rosh Hashanah is. The judgment must not be regarding sins. Because if it was regarding sins, that would be the theme of the day. The judgment of Rosh Hashanah has to do with direction. If a person goes to a doctor, and the doctor tells him that he has a certain condition, and if he doesn't change his lifestyle, the condition is just going to keep on recurring. Until the patient is willing to make that change, he's not going to be better. Once he decides to change the way he lives, automatically his condition is going to get better. On Rosh Hashanah, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, it's true you have sins, but I'm asking you to make a change in lifestyle where those sins won't happen again. If a person has a difficult time waking up for minyan, so he accepts upon himself Rosh Hashanah to start going to sleep a little earlier, automatically that little adjustment will guarantee him going to minyan for the next year. If a person, Hazva Shalom, he finds himself talking in Bet Knesset, he decides to make a small adjustment. I'm going to sit in a different section, not next to my friends over there, in order that that little adjustment will guarantee him for the next 365 years he's not going to talk. But to come along and to tell God at Rosh Hashanah, I won't talk again in Bet Knesset, that's a waste of time. What did you do to change? That's like a fellow that tells the doctor, I accept upon myself to lose 50 pounds. But what are you going to change in your habits? I'm changing nothing. Changing nothing, so you can say Hadati Aviti Pashati as much as you want. But if you're not going to change the way you eat, and you're not going to change the way you behave, it's only going to come right back. And that's the judgment on Rosh Hashanah. There was a fellow that was getting on a train, and he was headed to New Jersey. When he got on the train, and the conductor came along and said, tickets. And the fellow gave him his ticket, and he said, you're going to New Jersey, this train is going to New York. So he says, well, where is New Jersey? So the conductor points to the back of the train. So the fellow starts to walk to the back of the train. So the conductor says, where are you walking? He says, I'm walking to New Jersey. Tell you fool, this train's going to New York. Even if you walk to the back of the train, you're not going to get to New Jersey. You have to change trains. And that's the same thing when it comes to Teshuvah. To stay on the same train and just walk to the back, you're going to get to the same destination. You have to walk across the platform and get on a new train. And that's exactly what Rosh Hashanah is. And if God sees us making those small and they're minor adjustments, already God says, Averot, you'll fix those on Yom Kippur. But already I see you have a different path. Your trajectory is different. I see your destination already is going to be a different destination this year. Averot are easy. Get rid of the Averot on Yom Kippur. And I brought a proof to this. The Gemara says in Keddushim, if a person goes to a lady And he says to her, "Hare at mekudeshet li al menat she'ani tzaddik gamur." He says, "I want to be married to you." It seems he knew that she wanted to be married to a tzaddik. So he says, "I'm guaranteeing you, I'm tzaddik gamur." The Gemara says, even if we know that he's a notorious rasha his whole life, we suspect that maybe the kiddushin is good because maybe right before he gave the coin, maybe he had thoughts of teshuvah. And I asked a simple question. There's no such thing as thoughts of teshuvah. According to Haramban, teshuvah must be verbally. If a person comes on Yom Kippur, he stands over there, he's standing in front of the Echad. What are you doing? I'm making teshuvah. This is not teshuvah. You have to read the vidui bapeh. Hatati, aviti, pashati, kabbalah balev, kabbalah la'atid, harata. What does it mean? Shema her b'teshuvah. Unless we're talking about a case where he told the girl, Hatati, aviti, pashati, but I don't think he did that in front of a girl. He's not going to make a kiddushin like that. So the Gemara says, her b'teshuvah. The explanation is, because the Gemara is saying over here, not that he made teshuvah. The Gemara is trying to make him tzaddik gamur. There's a difference between becoming a tzaddik and making teshuvah. Teshuvah has to be done verbally, that's correct. But to become a tzaddik gamur, you can do it in your head. If a person decides in his head, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore. From now on, I'm going that way. From now on, I'm not going to go to this place. From now on, I'm going to change this. That already is a tzaddik because his direction changed. Vidui, once he gives her the ring, he can make vidui. He didn't say, if he would have said that he has to make vidui. He said, al-menat shani tzaddik. Tzaddik already you can do in your head. In your mind you can do that. And that's Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana is al-menat shani tzaddik. And that's the book of tzaddikim. Kotvenu b'sefer tzaddikim. We don't say kotvenu b'sefer ba'alei teshuvah. If we would say that, then nobody would get a good judgment on Rosh Hashana. Kotvenu b'sefer tzaddikim. That already is in the Machshavah. That's what Rabbeinu Ari says. During the Tikkiot, you can have thoughts of teshuvah. You can have ideas. And those ideas are trying to figure out, how am I going to put myself on a different train? And then Be'ezat Hashem, on Rosh Hashanah, we come and we get judged as tzaddikim, even though we have a bag of sins on our back. That means you could be a tzaddik with sins. However, the opposite is also true. A person who has a lot of mitzvot on his back, but he decides to change his direction, he can be a rasha with many mitzvot on his shoulders. It's not dependent on mitzvot and averot. When the Olam is looking at the destination, at the path. And then, Borei Olam, Be'ezat Hashem, will see our good intentions, and we'll see our efforts to try to make even minor adjustments, small adjustments. One does not have to make a major adjustment in order to have a great impact. When a person is driving on the highway, and there's two roads in front of him, one is right, one is left. The amount of turn that he has to put on the steering wheel is very, very minor to go to the right or go to the left. But that little turn can either bring him to the East Coast or the West Coast. Those two roads bring him to two different places, but all he had to do was make a minor adjustment. And then Be'ezat Hashem, Borei Olam will judge us on Rosh Hashanah as Tzaddikim Gemurim in the book of Hayim Tovim Arukim Shalom. Amen.